Hey folks, I want to talk to y'all about a few things, and then I want to read a verse of what I'm talking about. You know, growing up, and before I start this, I want to say I don't do any of this for people to feel sorry for me. I don't want that. I'm just hoping this would help somebody. And if you don't know Christ and you've been through similar things, hopefully it'll help you see that Christ really can help. Growing up, if I was to say I was bullied, that would be an understatement. I had a double whammy. My brothers were 6 and 7 years older than me. So I would go to school and get bullied, literally, because of the way I looked. And I would get home, and my brother's friends would just beat the tar out of me for no reason. Just because I was young, 10, 11 years old. And, you know, back then, 1995, 1994, schools really didn't care if other kids bullied other kids. I remember this time I was bullied so bad, and I never told my parents any of it. I never did. But I was bullied so bad that my parents bought me a brand new pair of shoes. And this kid poured chocolate milk all over me and then kicked mud on my shoes. And I tried my best to clean up before I got home. And it didn't work out too well. My dad found out about it. And he said, I want you to tell me the truth, what happened? And I told him. And he said, how long has this been going on? I said, about a year. Why didn't you tell me? I said, honestly, because I don't want you to think I'm a wimp. And he said, son, I wouldn't think that about you. Sorry, I'm tearing up. He said, son, I wouldn't think that about you. He said, I just don't want you to go through that. And then he explained to me this story. And it made me feel worse at the time because I was just a kid. But he said, you know, when I was in school, when I was in elementary school, I was bullied too. But he said, I found my strength. This was before my dad was saved. He said, I found my strength. And my daddy told me to go to school and knock that bully in the nose. And he promised me that bully would never mess with me again. And he said, I did that. And nobody messed with me anymore. And he said, when I got to high school, it was all in the newspapers. I seen all the clippings when I was a kid. My mom still got them. My dad was all-American everything. And as a kid, it's like I envied that. Because I couldn't do much of anything because I had asthma. My dad was all-American swimmer, all-American football player. Just, I mean, something I could never be. And my dad told me the story about in high school that he would take up for the kids that were picked on and bullied because he knew what it felt like. So him being, I guess what you could say, a jock, if he saw somebody picking on somebody, he'd walk up and just beat them up. And they wouldn't mess with the kid anymore. And he said, son, so I want you to find your power. He said, because I know you got it, you're my son. He said, you go to school, and if that boy picks on you again, you punch him right in the nose, and he'll leave you alone. I tried it. But I found out quick I wasn't as strong as my dad. Because that boy whooped the tar out of me. Come to find out, the principal of my middle school was one of the bullies that my dad had beat up, and he didn't like my dad. So when I tried to fight back, and this principal knew all the stuff that was going on because he saw it every single day for over a year. And he brought us both in the office and asked what was going on, and I told him the truth. Just like my daddy told me, I always tell the truth. Don't you lie to nobody. Yes, sir. He said it's better to tell the truth and get a butt whooping than to tell a lie and get 30. And I said, yes, sir. So I told the truth. I said, look, I'm miserable. I come to school every single day, and these kids bully me for no reason. And I got tired of it, and I fought back. Even though the boy whooped me, I fought back, hoping that it would stop. And principal gave me a spanking. So I had paddlings back then. He gave me a spanking, sent the other boy back to class, and suspended me for 3 days. I was angry. I was mad because I knew when I got home that I was going to get another spanking from my dad for getting suspended. And sure enough, I get home, because we only lived about 2 blocks from the school at the time. So I walked home. Middle of the day. My mom was there. Shocked that I was home. I gave her the little suspension note. And she said, boy, when your daddy gets home, he's going to be mad at you. I said, well, I'm sorry. I did what he told me to do, and it didn't work out. And, well, he got home, questioned me about it, gave me my spanking. Then I started telling him what the principal did. Told him who the principal was. And he got really, really angry. He went up to the school, had a very long talk with that principal. That principal didn't do that kind of stuff to me anymore after that. I don't know what my dad said to him still to this day. I don't know. But still the point. I was still bullied up until I was about 15, I guess. When I turned, I'd say 16, 17, I started getting my growth spurt. By the time I was 17, I was about 6 foot tall. Nobody really messed with me anymore. And I started seeing my bullies in my 20s, how miserable they were. And I remember laughing at them. It was like my dad said back when I was a kid, find your strength because you're my son. I'd found it later in life, 20s, 20, 21. And I always tried to pick fights with those bullies. Always hoping that I'd run into them on a bad day. I don't know why. I'm just telling y'all the truth here. But I'd laugh at them and say, why don't you pick on me now? You made me so miserable as a kid. All I wanted to do was play with y'all, and y'all did this, and this to me. If any of you are going through this type of stuff, trust me, I've been there. And it's painful, very painful. Especially if you've been through it. If you've been through it and found Christ, you know where I'm going with this. But if you've been through it and hadn't found Christ, I want to share with y'all this verse in just a minute. God will always pay people back as they do. And I promise you, because it's written here in Scripture, in the New Testament. But in my 20s, I was not a nice person at all. People broke me. And I remember, I think it was 5 years ago. Excuse me. Yeah, it was 5 years ago. One of the bullies wrote me on Facebook and said, hey man, I just want to say I'm sorry for how I treated you when we were kids. And I was shocked. It's like, man, I forgive you. I just don't understand why you would say you're sorry now. Well, it's because him, I never really laughed at him. I never really said anything about him. And now he's got Crohn's, he's got a bag on the outside of his stomach, he's got all kind of problems. And I never wished anything on anybody like that. But look here. 1 second. Romans 12, verse 19 and 20. Dearly beloved, Avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath, for it is written, Vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in doing so, thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head. No matter what people do to you, be kind to them. Though it hurts, and you see the pain in my eyes still, I'm sure. I don't share this with nobody. I hope to God this helps somebody. Before you think about avenging yourself, remember that. Would you rather do it and feel guilty later for doing something about it? Or would you rather God get his revenge on it? Because he will. If you're his, all you can do is pray that that person finds Christ. And that's all I ever do now, is pray that everyone watching my videos, people from my past, find Christ. And if they don't, you've done your part. I love all of you, and God bless.